Scots. Actually, it was originally Ireland. So a few hundred years ago, if you say I'm going to Scotland, that means you're going to Ireland. And Scotland was actually Picts, the land of the Picts, because they used to have pictures, tattoos. They were Picts, had Picts, and they were converted by Ireland, and that's when he came across. So originally, Ireland was called Scotland, England was Picts, and the Romans, etc., tried to civilize them, but they couldn't get up there. So they have Hadrian's War, which is equivalent of the Great Wall of China, but the Hadrian's War is a little thing like that, and it stopped people coming down from the north coming down. Anyway, we lived on an estate. It was called Inverrany Estate. Maybe you can find it in Google. I don't know. It was called Inverrany Estate, and because my father was
beautiful house.
Yeah, and our neighbours. Well, this is one of my neighbours, the sheep, black-faced sheep.
Oh.
So that black-faced sheep is that's all that's what our neighbours were. So basically, for 8, 9, whatever it is, I was living in bogs. Bogs is a kind of a swamp thing, and because half of Scotland, maybe more than half, you can't really do much up there because it is all this peat stuff. You know, when you drink whiskey, the whiskey is kind of half blackish. Why? Because it's peat. Peat is the next stage before coal. So up in Scotland, if you want to have a bit of heat, you don't have to go to Dubai to get oil. You just go out. You just go out, chop a bit of earth from the mountain, whatever it is, bring it home, and that's called peat. So in Scotland, you have all sorts of peat hags. Hag is an old word. They call it peat hags. And the peat hags, because if you go up to the mountain and they use chopped bits of earth, and the earth can be used as fuel. It's like the kind of primitive coal. So I remember, in fact, on one day I was wandering around wandering these hills because from behind the house you could walk all day and you meet nobody. You just have deer, sheep, rabbit, and all sorts. Also, so life was like living in a zoo, but much more because you're just living with. I remember one occasion all these deer, these red deer, these huge big horns, about 30 of them. Because the wind was coming from them to me, they couldn't see me. So this whole herd, these deer were coming towards me, and they came right up to about there. And I suddenly thought, God, what's going to happen? So I was in a kind of a peat hag, and these deer were all there. So I jumped up and get it. If they'd suddenly come across me, they only had to go like that, and that's the end of me. But anyway, the deer would come down in the winter because it was snow up there, and you could feed them. Basically, they were very tame. But basically they were living up there that night. And now actually, the deer in Scotland are a menace because originally you used to have wolves, and the wolves used to keep them down. But now actually, I have a relative up there. His job, he got a doctorate in something, but he didn't want to go down. And he got a job with the government. His job is shooting deer because there's too many of them. But at the time, but anyway, they're quite fascinating. But we also have all sorts of different kinds of deer. And so, we had 3 lochs. In England is L-A-K-E, lake. Scotland is loch, L-O-C-H. Ireland is L-O-U-G-H. It's all the same thing. So we can just remember that originally the Scots, they used to speak Gaelic. And what is Gaelic? Gaelic was Celtic because what happened was originally, before the Roman Empire, the whole of Europe was Celtic. And when the Romans came, all these, Caesar's wars and all these people, that was against the Celts. So the only real Europeans left are the Scottish people, the Irish people, the Welsh people, and the people in Brittany in things. So they were the Aborigines, they were the original people. So they spoke Gaelic. I thought my name was Gaelic. Alan. The Alans were one of the tribes, like the Franks and all these people. They came down, invaded Europe. But anyway, so basically, my life in Scotland was wandering around the moors. The moors got ever worse because it was a grouse. It was a grouse shooting. If you say in England you say the 12th. What does the 12th mean? The 12th means the opening season for the grouse. You know, if you go to any 7-Eleven or any, I go to any of these places here, and there's a kind of whiskey called grouse, Grouse. Well, all sorts of grouse, different grouse. But these are red grouse, and these red, they're just like a big partridge. So we had two gamekeepers. One was called Walker, and the other was called McCallum, and their job is to let nobody else come in. So basically, we were just living the life of kings, you know. At the bottom of our house, there was a salmon river, so you could get the salmon wherever you want. You could get the jay, you get everywhere, and you get every kind of duck and goose, and you can imagine all the birds. And so it was the life of Riley. It was a pretty good life.